Hey, we're just started recording for the January 21st, 2024 NGL intro, the accumulation as a path to liberation.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I am appreciating this is a small and intimate group, and I'm hoping we can get deep into some questions. This is a very, very, very charged topic. I'd like to hear from a couple of people. What brings you here today? Why are you choosing to look at this topic? Especially people I have not connected with before. Anne.
So I'm heavily involved in the degrowth movement, which at its center is a deaccumulation of a critique of capital accumulation. So I know that this is probably, I don't know if this is going to look at that level, but I'm also drawn to your work actually through an interest in NVC, and I see a lot of overlap, as I guess you do too, because sort of degrowth is this needs-based economy, and NVC is the center's needs. So I'm fascinated to see these overlaps. Check.
Thank you. One of my mysteries, and I mean it in a serious way, is how there are so many people who have a sense that NVC is compatible with capitalism. When capitalism in particular, and market economies more generally, but less acutely, are not oriented to needs. So I'm always glad when there are people who get that there is something hidden in the picture of where people can think, if I sell you something and you buy it, then we're both good, because this was something we both agreed to. So it must be attending to our needs without seeing the systemic constraints within which it happens. So thank you for being here and welcome. Let's hear from one more person. What brings you here? Why did you choose, especially anyone coming from the west coast of the United States, where it's now 7 a.m., why be here instead of in your cozy warm bed? Lisa, it looks like you're wanting to say something.
Well, I recognize myself in that statement. I don't know who else, and I guess you can see I'm in my little stocking cap here and my robe. Very interested. Miki and I talked about this deaccumulation workshop and how this is a focus of my intention for the year to understand where I put my financial resources, because I'm I'm really completely right now just sort of at sea with that. And so this is part of my ongoing, the beginning of wanting to do inquiry to get clarity about and be much more intentional about where I put financial resources.
Thank you. And Marco, you unmuted, so I figure you would want to say something.
I'm calling in from Mexico, so the time isn't too bad for me. So I'm very involved in the authentic relating and circling movements. I publish a newsletter called the Circling Guide newsletter, and my passion really has to do with bringing relational technology to social justice and sexuality. And I just discovered your work quite recently, so I'm here on a curiosity and I won't be able to stay the whole hour, but I'm very curious what will emerge today, because you're spot on for what I want to happen. I call it the love revolution.
Thank you. Because we're talking about accumulation, which leads us very quickly to ownership, and what does ownership mean? I want to call attention to that concept of my work, which I am rejecting. I am rejecting it on two grounds. One is that while I have gifts in articulating things, conceptualizing them, making them clear, and bringing them to people, the creation of the work is no longer something I do by myself. The work is now emerging from collective experimentation, and continuing to call it my work, Miki's work, continues to make invisible the collective nature of what humans do. It took me many years until I learned that Gandhi wasn't a lone person. He lived in an ashram with 70 plus people, and they all worked together. So there's something about singling out an individual for something that isn't actually an individual thing that I think is actually related to the topic in how we do it. I know this is not what you intended to do, and that was a completely innocent, offhand, casual term, and I still want to take any opportunity to debunk that idea. Thank you. All right, that's good enough for me to get started. So I want to do a little bit of a review. I am hoping that people heeded the invitation to review the original event that this is a follow-up to. And I imagine that not everyone did that. And this is no substitute for that. This is a going deeper. So I am hoping that at least some people did enough of it that we can actually grow some substance. The few things that I want to highlight is, the first thing is the clash between accumulation and life, where life is a flow. Life is an endless flow that cares for all that lives. It's an endless flow of resources, an endless flow of energy, an endless flow of relationships. All of that is what life is. Nothing happens in isolation from anything else. Things keep moving. And humans in the last few thousand years have interrupted that flow to the point where we are now threatening the continued existence of the biosphere as a whole, not just human life. And the mechanism of accumulation is one key way in which we have interfered with the flow, because the flow depends on trust in life. Trust in life means taking no more and no less than we need. And it may be clear why no more. That's the accumulation. If I take more than I need, it's out of circulation. It's less clear why taking less than I need is at odds with trust in life and with flow. If I take that less than I need, I don't give life accurate information about the collective need that exists in the entire web of life. I had an actual experience one day. This was 3 years ago. I was not too far from where I am now, which is in Catalonia. I was in a small suburb of Barcelona called Cardedeu, which Helen knows who lives there. And there was a tree. It was the end of the season of this tree that here they call it strawberry tree. I don't know what the actual name of it is in English or any language. It's red fruits that have an orange flesh. They're about this size, little fruits. And I love them. They are not fancy. They're not the kind of thing you will see in the market. The texture is, I just love them. And I was eating And there was a moment when I knew that I've had enough. And enough, not just for that moment, enough for the season. I didn't need more. And I stopped. And I had a sense of the relationship with the tree. The tree now has a little bit of information about what is enough. And that gives the tree information for the next season. I don't know how this information travels, but I have let go of scientific materialism to enough of a degree to trust. That's the trust in life, that there is this mysterious flow of information that cares for everything. And we have interfered. Because in the accumulation, loss of trust in life, I would collect all the fruit that is on that tree and not leave the tree and the orchard away to regenerate. So that's one way. We take more than we need or less than we need. The information isn't accurate. Exchange is the other way, which is harder to grasp why that interferes with flow. Exchange interferes with flow because it cancels out the energy. If I give you and you give me right back, boop, boop, the energy stays. It has nowhere to go. It doesn't need to go. If I give you and you don't give me back, there's energy in you, energy from life. It now lives in you, and you will pass it on. If you give it back to me, there's less flow. It doesn't move around. So we're not going to talk about exchange today. We are going to talk about accumulation. So accumulation is rooted in loss of trust in life. I see something here now. I don't trust there will be enough tomorrow, next year. There are all these other people. I'm separate from these other people. It's a war of all against all. I must take all I can as a way to protect myself. And that leaves less in circulation for others. So accumulation is an artificial surplus that creates manufactured scarcity. They come together. I was once part of an email correspondence with a group, and I don't remember who exactly is the person who said this. This person said, everybody asks how to get rid of extreme poverty. But that's not the relevant question. The relevant question is how to get rid of extreme wealth. Because if we get rid of extreme wealth, then poverty will take care of itself, because they are twins, they come together. The wealth here is poverty here because we live in a finite closed system. The only thing that comes into our system is sunlight. That's all that we get from the outside. That's enough to regenerate everything, but not beyond human depletion. So that's one big piece that I want to plant in our collective awareness before we get into questions. The other one is the difficulty, the extreme difficulty that deaccumulation presents. And that is very intense because there are internal obstacles, there are relational obstacles, and there are systemic obstacles to deaccumulation. And all of them combine to make it very unlikely for anyone to seriously deaccumulate. And I want to say, I've been thinking about this, talking about this, engaging with people about this in various names and various ways for 12 years. And in those 12 years, I have not found a single person who has actually said, all right, I am ready to deaccumulate. Within the circles that NGL is a part of, this is beginning to happen. We are deaccumulating in both voluntary and responsive ways. And that's different because we've already committed that someone who actually has access to significant wealth who would say, I'm ready to let go of this. I have not seen that happen. It may happen elsewhere that I don't know. I think very rarely. That probably about as rarely as an empire voluntarily and peacefully closing down. All empires so far have come to an end, and every single one of them came to an end through famine, war, or some other disaster. None of them peacefully dismantling. I think there's a parallel. So the internal obstacles is scarcity thinking, separation thinking, powerlessness, fear, desire for control, all of these things, the patriarchal conditioning. The relational obstacles is anytime any one of us is going to do anything even remotely like this, everybody else is going to push back on us and tell us that we're crazy. Someone I know, for example, this person's father, and it's a not a big deal. It's just a regular working class family. So there isn't a lot of wealth in that family. And still the father is saying, I'm not going to give you money for you to give to others in the community and participate and share. I want my hard-earned money to go to you personally. That's an example of what I mean. And then there are the external obstacles of two kinds. One is there are no known pathways for deaccumulation. People don't have models to follow. The groove within society is to continue the accumulation intergenerationally, endlessly. I can't remember that guy's name right at the moment. It will come to me. He's the French economist who wrote about capital in the 20th century. Piketty, Thomas Piketty, where he shows that capitalism is very much a continuation of feudalism rather than a different animal. It just looks different, but it is fundamentally passing from generation to generation, and wealth accumulates much faster than you would think based on just the rules of the game. That's one. And the other is, if you're going to deaccumulate, even if you decided you went through all the other obstacles, you decided, yay, I'm going for it. What does it mean? Can you actually make any change with where you give the money? Where do you give the money? You give it to other entities that are functioning within the system. How do you actually take your resources out of the system and create a flow of life? Not simple, not easy. And I'm here adamantly claiming, if someone is ready to do the work, I will accompany that person and we will figure out every step of the way how to do it. So I think that's enough of a review. And now I'm opening up to questions. That's it. There's no more content delivery. It all depends on you. Anne.
Sorry, I wanted to wait, but I had a question because you said you hadn't. I was surprised.
Your voice is weak. It wasn't weak before.
Sorry, I was surprised to hear that you said you hadn't really met anybody that was interested. I'm misquoting, but ready to deaccumulate, because I see like minimalism and voluntary simplicity as part of this, and maybe like it's just a little bit, but yeah,
Yes,
I wonder.
the little bits, yes. the people with actual wealth ready to release that wealth to the commons, whatever that means and however we recreate a commons, that is what I haven't seen. On the larger scale, individuals doing their thing with small bits of access to resources that they have, yes. But where's the billionaire? Here's the difference. Let's say there's this group of people that are, I don't know what the number is, 10%, 50%, however much percent of their billions they're giving away. If you have even 1 billion and you give away 50%, you still have 500 million. 500 million is huge accumulation. No one needs 500 million. No one will convince me that anyone actually needs it. So it's the percentage, I give away a percentage of my wealth isn't, in my mind, actual deaccumulation. It's coming closer to what is it that I really need? Really doing an honest inventory. What do I really need? And I don't want to tell anyone what they need. I really want it to be up to each of us to really decide for ourselves what we actually need. I just want every one of us to declare to ourselves, this is what I need. And anything I have beyond that, I give away. That's simplicity. Does that clarify, Anne? Noor.
Hey, Miki, I'm curious about, hold on, where are you on my screen? Okay, there you are. You know how you were saying that when we take more than what we need, or if we take less than what we need, it disrupts this kind of accurate information feedback loop to life. And I guess I'm not sure this is fully formulated, but in my head, but I'm like, since we've interrupted with the flow of life and nature isn't getting accurate information, what happens then to nature in that process?
Okay. Where are you now? You disappeared on my, there you are.
I'm here, yeah.
Before answering your question, I need to take up the language that you used.
Okay.
Because that language is implicated in accumulation.
Okay.
Language is nature, there's we, and there's nature. You see it?
Yeah, I see it. Wow. That's sad to me. And just recognizing that separation. Yeah.
Yeah. That separation has within it deeply encoded nature as scary, nature as unruly, nature as not caring for humans, nature as fill in the gaps. And I am training myself, a few of us are training ourselves not to use that word. Talk about the web of life.
But it's interesting because there's also the expression human nature.
I know. There is what is the nature of something is one meaning of the word nature. And then there's nature that is this thing that is everything that isn't human is nature. And it's alien.
Wow, that just brings so much sadness.
Let's be with that for a moment. That sadness is gold.
Sorry, my timer's going off for some reason. It'll go off by itself.
You're talking about, I didn't hear anything that was a problem for me.
I was saying my timer is going off and it will go off on its own, but I don't feel like getting up to turn it off.
No, and I didn't hear it.
Okay, good.
I am hearing a human being having the courage to show all of us what it's like to connect with that loss at the deep level. And I just want you with that. Yeah.
I was really distracted by my timer, but it just went off. Oh. Yeah, just a lot of sadness here, Miki.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm also experiencing guilt too at recognition that I've been complicit in this.
Every single one of us.
Yeah, I feel horrible about it.
Yeah.
But I guess we didn't know better
I would make
until
it
we
more
do.
exactly. I want to make it more precise than we didn't know better. We have been actively trained to numb ourselves to the impacts of our actions. The more access to resources we have, the more pressure to be numb to the impacts.
Mm.
Also, the impacts are hidden from us systemically through this very odd word called supply chain. You know what a supply chain is?
I believe so.
What is at the end of the supply chain? You are here buying. What is at the end of the supply chain? All the way to the other end. What is there?
Is it food?
The raw extraction from people and from the rest of the web of life. The raw extraction. So my favorite intense wrenching example, you've heard me talk about it, I think, is cell phones. Every time we buy a cell phone, we are contributing to depletion of minerals and to violence against women in the Congo. That's just it. We cannot get around it. Thank you. We cannot get around it. It's not at the moment possible. But you need to actively ask the question, where does this cell phone come from? To begin to trace it. Information is actively hidden from us. So we are numb to the impact and information is hidden from us. So in order to know it, we need to find active motivation to look for it and to agree to walk towards discomfort and feel what you just were feeling.
My fear, Miki, is that if I fully walk that path, then I would become, it's funny because you're saying we become alienated from life, or when you call it nature, right? I guess my fear is that I'll become alienated from humans. That's what comes to me, is that if I truly walk this, I'll become alien to majority mainstream people.
Yes, it's true.
But I already feel a little bit that way anyways. So
I
I'm like,
know.
I don't know that I want to feel that way more, you know?
I feel I feel awe and amazement at my 14-year-old self
Okay.
who did this. When I was 12, my family moved to Mexico from Tel Aviv. And at 14, my family went back to Israel to a completely different part of town. And I had a fresh opportunity, a reset button about how I was going to be. And I decided that I was going to act normal and go to parties because I really didn't like not being invited to any party or anything like that. So I acted normal. I did the things that others were doing. Sure enough, I started being invited to parties. And I went to the parties. And after 2 months, I realized I wasn't actually enjoying them. The conversation didn't really reach me. There was no meaning in it. And I decided it's not worth it. And I made a decision at 14 that I was never going to do things to fit in. Back, there's not been a moment in which I started dreaming about fitting in. What I dream about is having many more people who don't fit in so that we can fit in together. And that's beginning to happen. That is beginning to happen in my life. I feel extremely fortunate.
Wow.
And the risk is real. And when there are enough of us where you can have a sense of landing, some sense of home with others who are away from the mainstream, you have more strength so you can meet your family and friends with a loving inquiry that is different from the alienation. I mean, just the other day, you were talking about how your friends are starting to use words that come from this body of work.
It's really remarkable.
Yeah. Thank you. And back to your question, because your question is real.
Yeah, thank you. I hadn't lost track of it.
No, I didn't lose track of it. It's important. I think restoring flow with the web of life, within and with the rest of the web of life, is now effortful. It isn't in flow now. So we need to do something to restore it. But what the people who try to do that discover that the response is immense. Some of us have a way of connecting with the larger web of life. And some of those people are hearing from plants that they're missing us. So it's not something that we need to do ourselves. It's something that we will do in interaction, in surrender, in reverence for the wisdom that exists in life, learning within
it. I guess my question, Miki, is I'm not sure when we interrupt the flow of life, doesn't that make it harder for life to realign with its own flow? Or is it always just kind of effortless for life? It's just recalibration of everything.
I think we have a lot to learn. I can tell you this much. If you want to sink your teeth a little bit into this, read Braiding Sweetgrass. Have you
Okay.
read it? Do you know about it?
No. Yeah, from you.
I can't remember her name right now, but the woman who wrote it is a university professor of botany.
Mhm.
And she demonstrates what an integration of Western civilization knowledge and indigenous wisdom looks like. It's really so uplifting. It's painful, it's tragic, but it's very uplifting. And there's one study that was done where 3 places where there's sweetgrass were treated in 3 different ways. One where there was, harvesting Western style, get whatever there is. One where there was no harvesting, and one where there was harvesting indigenous style, which is attentive in conversation, asking for permission, not taking more than half. There are pretty stringent criteria. And the piece of land that was harvested based on indigenous principles did better than the one that wasn't harvested at all.
Mhm. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So that tells me that, yeah, okay. I think I see what you mean. Approaching with reverence is,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. It's not about.
Restoration, yeah,
Mhm.
restoration efforts that come from the UN and from large NGOs have within them the idea that humans are an interference to the rest of life. So they take indigenous people that have stewarded certain areas for millennia and remove them as if that is going to help forests revive when the forests depend on the relationship with the humans.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Whew. Mm.
All right.
Thank you, Miki.
Krista.
I appreciate that.
Krista.
Good morning, or at least it's morning where I am. So thank you for this. I'm new to this group. I'm new to this conversation in this group, and I did not know about the previous meeting. So the question I'm going to ask may be something that everybody already knows the answer to.
It's never
And
the case. It's never
okay.
the case.
All right, and it's about inner transformation.
Mhm.
It's been my experience that an idealistic value set is not sufficient for me to change the way that I operate in the world. I
Of
need to
course.
have a transformation within me that so that the value system is something that becomes embedded.
Mhm.
And every evolution of that brings with it fear and
Mhm.
resistance. Even like tiny microscopic shifts of evolution bring their own fear and resistance within me. But so you just said that you had this shift within you at the age of 12 or 14. But I'm wondering, how do you speak to people about that inner transformation and that process? Because that seems to me to be absolutely critical to any sort of positive force work. And I don't like the term work, but it just seems absolutely critical to all of it.
I want to look for something that I discovered not too long ago, and yeah. So first of all, I have several layers of response to you. The first one is talking about what that fear is of inner transformation. A few weeks ago, I decided to trace it to what are the fundamental human needs at its core, that if I can relate to those needs might open something up. And I discovered 2. One is something I call being known to myself. That if I change myself in a very big way, will I still recognize myself? Will I still see that I'm the same person? So there is some way that I want to recognize me in me. And I think that's a deep self-identity need that is important. The other one isn't actually relevant to all inner transformation. I just looked at the notes. The other one is relevant to very reactive patterns. Why would it be difficult for me to let go of very reactive patterns? So it's not so important. I think this bit is a very important thing to consider, and where we can contemplate, who am I at essence? Who do I want to be at essence? How will I recognize myself in that? I think that can be helpful in the work of inner transformation. That's one thing. Second thing is, I think there is a very, you want me to wait for you to take these notes? I'm happy to.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Second is, there is a very complex interplay between inner transformation and systemic change. And in some way, crudely, I would say it like this. For as long as systems don't change, we can only change ourselves up to a certain limit, beyond which it's not possible because the systems push back. Conversely, we cannot change systems without there being inner transformation, because you create new systems and the inner transformation hasn't happened, there will be an active pull away from the new system into the familiar from before. This is why, for example, after the dismantling of the Soviet Union, ethnic enmities that were considered gone resurfaced 70, 80 years later, as if they'd always been there. They were declared non-existent. They were forbidden. They went underground, but they didn't disappear. So when I think about that interplay, is that making sense to you, Crystal, first of all? So when I'm thinking about that interplay, what I want to do with it is anchoring change within the smallest system that is within my sphere of influence. If my sphere of influence is only me, the likelihood of being able to anchor change is small. If we are a group of 3, 4, etc. people, then we can create a system within which the liberation of each of us is anchored in the whole, where people track each other, support each other in the liberation. I live within that. I know it. It's different. There are a few other people here who live within that. One of them is smiling. Look at her, Madi. She just can't stop smiling because she knows what I'm talking about. Another is Alper. We have experienced an acceleration of individual change because we are held collectively. So there's an illusion of individual change that I think is part of the illusion of capitalism. So my question is not, what inner transformation do I need to do? Because I will never do that. We will never have enough resources for 8 billion people and growing to heal from all the horrific trauma of several thousand years. It just won't happen. We need to move towards vision in our brokenness, exactly where we are, and create systems organically on a small scale that catch us where we are and go from there. So that's my response to you. I'm curious what arises as you hear this.
There's a lot that arises within me.
Slow down. Slow down. It's one of the keys to being able to do the work that we're doing, is to recognize the moments in which we need to slow down. This is one of them, just like with Noor before.
I want to understand more of what you just shared, because I think it is extremely important. But the piece that resonates the most with me right now is the community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've personally been struggling with for the past. There's so much into what you just said. I want to back up and just say what you just said about affecting change within a system. That's paraphrasing, but that actually frees me from a lot of guilt that I have not guilt, regret, pain, inability to accept things that have happened in the past. In my own past. Just very briefly, I was once in a former life a jail chaplain, and I was trying to affect change within that system from within. And it got me thrown out of the system. And I've spent years trying to figure out how I could have handled that differently. But what you just shared spoke to what I felt deeply within me, which is that there was no other outcome because it was just me.
To believe that even more, I want to tell you that I want the opportunity to be in an ongoing set of conversations with the board chair of a very large retail company, very large, globally large. I'm not going to say more, not going to say anything that could expose this person. I don't want to. And I don't know if it's as a result of our conversations or not. But at some point, this person who had the power to make a decision that would change something within the company, at some point, this person did something. I'm just going to find an equivalent to it. Let's say, remove cigarettes from all the stores. That's not what they did, but you can see how that would be more aligned with life. The retail store doesn't sell cigarettes. And the profits went down. And within 6 months, this person had to resign from being board chair. So it's not even that you are one small individual within a large system. You can be one big, powerful individual and still kick out of the system.
Thank you. Well, the other thing that this arises for me is when you speak about community, and you said acceleration of individual change. You experience acceleration of individual change because we are held collectively. And I've been believing that. I believe that in my spirit to be true. But finding community is
Yes.
just
The overwhelming majority of communities don't know how to set up systems that are actually within capacity and support capacity growth. And so thank you very much, most communities end up being in cycles of conflict and separation.
so I feel loneliness and longing. That's what that pricked in my spirit, was loneliness and longing. So loneliness and longing, relief, and desire to understand even more deeply. That's how it responds to me. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm feeling so much joy at having set up this format where there isn't material to cover, there's no arc, there's just being with people wanting to understand. And it's really lovely. I feel such a deep gratitude for those of you who have stepped forward with your questions. So grateful. Thank you. I hope you have a sense of how much you're contributing to everyone through your questions. It's not just to yourself. Thank you. Ready for me to go to the next person? Thank you. Anna?
Hi. So I think I had a question kind of when you talk about each person defining what their need is and not, defining that. I think my question is kind of just how do we redefine what we need if we've been conditioned like through a lens of capitalism or accumulation of like comfort and all of these things, and like how do we challenge ourselves to kind of push past that or like change our perspective?
Mm-hmm. I think that what we have been robbed of is the experience of enoughness. To actually experience enough. And it starts with infancy. Babies and children who are not coerced will know when they've had enough food and they will stop eating. They will feel the enoughness. It's a bodily sensation. They will feel it. I'm hoping it's happening less than it used to be, that there's mass activity of feeding children on a schedule, babies on a schedule, which means you're supposed to eat whether or not you're hungry at certain times, and you're supposed to not eat whether or not you're hungry at other times. It messes up our biology. You see that? So we don't know to recognize enough. The very first step in changing our relationship with the materiality of our needs is to be able to feel what it's like to have enough of something at a given moment. And I think that's trainable. And the key is not to do it through guilt of like, oh, 10 of this should be enough. Because if you tell yourself that 10 of this, like I need to have only 10 shirts, and if I have 11 shirts, that means I'm a bad person, you're not going to feel enough. But if you ask yourself again and again, how many shirts do I actually need? How many do I actually need? And you discover that you need 37. That's when you have 37 shirts, it actually feels like enough. It doesn't matter that somebody else would go, are you out of your mind? The vast majority of people in the world are are grateful if they have 3. That's not the point. The point is for you in your meaning making to feel enough. So 37 shirts, 15 shoes, 100 cups. It doesn't matter. What is enough on the material plane? It's key that it be on the material plane. And that's the first step, is to just feel it again and again, try it out in various locations. Then to make an agreement with yourself. If all I need is 37 shirts and I'm walking by a store and there's a shirt I really like, I only buy it if I'm willing to let go of one other shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've already concluded that 37 is enough. Why do I need the 38? I like it. Okay, then what's the one you like the least of the 37 that you already have before you bought this new one? You let that one go. My prediction is that if you do this rigorously, after a while you will discover that you don't really need 37 shirts. Actually, 28 is good enough.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's just the catalyst of it can't start out with guilt. It has to come from a place of safety. So even if in a conditioned place, it is more than you actually need, the continued practice is kind of just the guiding post to continue working towards it. And like each step is not something to measure yourself against another, but to just hold yourself accountable for where you're at.
To what is true, not what somebody says should be. That is key, that you actually find yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. And you can do it with anything. You can do it with food. You can do it with listening to music. You can do it with responding to emails. It doesn't matter. Just the question, is this enough? That's the seed of the accumulation. What is enough? Come on, what's in the what's there?
I think in the sadness of realizing the dissonance from knowing your own enoughness, whether it's just like identity or personal or things, it is lost at such an early age. And so reclaiming it's just a lot of work. But I'm really like grateful for how like spacious and gracious that approach is of like lifting the burden, even in what you said in your response of just like what was it, your sphere of influence, of like that's the only system that you need to focus on. It's like you see these huge world issues and it's overwhelming, but it's like just taking a step back and placing yourself where you are and accepting those things as they are and moving forward in those ways compassionately, and not there's just a world of things that conflict with that. So I think I just feel moved and like thankful for that perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that is part of what plants us back in life, is to recognize I cannot do more than is within my capacity. I cannot. Stop. The child hunger must stop. I want it to stop, but I am not in a position to make it stop. What am I in a position to do that is within what continues to reinforce that hunger? I want to do that. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Miki.
Simon.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question ties back to, I think, what you brought up in when talking to Noor, about, you know, our complicity in violence just by being like immersed in the structures that make up our modern world.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of this process of deaccumulation, I encounter in myself, I think Noor already mentioned this sense of shame and pain, but I sense, so when I turn towards the more than human world, there is a sense in me that is frightened, because like it's this thought of, what have I done, or what was done in my name, also in my name? What have I done unto them? And there's this, so at least in my imagination, there's this idea that I cannot like simply step back into the web of life and just continue as if nothing ever happened. There's this sense that some sort of asking for forgiveness and some sort, like something has to happen. And there's this, I'm afraid that, you know, from, the violence that I was part of inflicting onto them, that they might retribute. They might want to seek revenge. And when I look at the problem of accumulation, I sense that a lot of people, when holding on to their wealth, are actually afraid of letting go because of what might happen onto them when they kind of step down from their throne above all life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to start from that last bit and then walk my way back to what you said. Starting with that last bit, one of the things that I've come to believe is a horrible dilemma for people with a lot of access to wealth is that they can never know if anybody really likes them. You cannot know if anybody really likes you when you have a lot of resources that everybody wants. Are they smiling at you because they want something from you? Are they appreciating you because they want something from you? Are they calling you up because they want something from you? How to tease it apart it's a terrible dilemma. I've never been in that position, and I feel it viscerally. I feel the viscerality of the truth of this horrific, pervasive existential aloneness, where you do not believe that anyone would do anything for you if you didn't have the resources to pay them to do it. So it definitely requires a huge leap of trust to say, I am going to put myself within the web of life, within the community and fellowship of humans, and trust that people will orient to my needs the way humans have done, even though I have never done it in relation to others. That's really a big ask. And it is an ask that our future depends on. So any of us who has any capacity to hold and be with that acute anguish in self or other, I call on you to join with me in trying to create that shift of where people are willingly surrendering to life without knowing. Because having money gives you an illusion of control. So that's one piece. It's not the whole thing. I want to see how you are with hearing it. Anything further?
It resonates strongly with me. And I also have this very powerful sense of the richer people are, the more lonely they get and the more desperate in a way they are.
Yeah.
Because there's so much insecurity.
One of the things that you can...
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
But I was, you already mentioned that for me, it's not only that I like when I orient towards the more than human world, it's not only that I've never really given to them or gifted anything, but I've actively harmed and violated them. And that is what frightens me. Or like the consequences of this, how they will play out once I step down from the throne.
That's where I was. My belief is that revenge is a human condition.
I'm sorry, could you, my connection is a bit bad. I didn't fully.
I'm going to say it again. My belief is that revenge is a human condition.
Miki, your mic
Your
is...
audio's having trouble.
I'm glad it's not only me.
Is it better now? Yeah, it switched to another thing. Who knows why Zoom decides, okay, now we're going to go to another microphone. So I believe that revenge is a human invention, not something that exists out there. I simultaneously believe that the larger web of life is understandably going to be very mistrustful of us. Many, many years ago, I saw a cartoon in a health food store. It showed a lion with a lion cub. They're called cubs in English. Native speakers, yes. A lion with a cub hiding behind a bush, kind of crouching, waiting for prey, clearly. And a human walks on the path, and the lion says to the cub, "Stay away from them, they're full of chemicals." It's so perfect. So, to the extent that we believe there's wisdom in life, two things are true. One is the plant world, the animal world, the spider world, the fungus world, they know what we are up to. They understand that we are to be feared. And they will recognize when we are ready to relate again. There's no need to ask for forgiveness. There's a huge need to acknowledge. They're not the same. Asking for forgiveness is within the right-wrong paradigm. There needs to be a shift from we've done something wrong to we have been part of an unspeakably tragic set of events. Those are not equivalent frames. If I come and acknowledge, in the last while, because we are now living in a very strange tourist beach town that is a ghost town during the winter. And still everything is manicured as if everybody's here. It's very surreal being here. Because of being here, a lot of plant life that I encounter here is hedges, bushes that are cut back all the time. It's very clear they don't like it. They don't want to be cut. It's not life. It doesn't make sense to cut them. They suffer. You can see the suffering because when they're cut back again and again and again, they become progressively less green. There's more and more brown. It's still a straight line, but it's less and less green over time. There's a very different thing to come and say, I acknowledge that I am part of a species that has been doing this to you and your entire ancestral line and cousins and everyone for thousands of years. I acknowledge this. I'm ready to hear impacts. I'm ready to accept your mistrust. I know it will take time to reestablish flow between us. That's very different from saying, please forgive me. Please forgive me. It's still in some separation and I've done something wrong. Now you need to forgive me. It's not relational at the level that I want to be relational with life. Make sense? Anything else, Simon?
Yeah, I'm. While you were speaking, one of a quote from, like, I was reading your text on carrot oppression the other day, and I really like somatically remember this part where you were writing, or you were quoting an indigenous person who was saying they are giving up on us, and it really hurt. And I'm wondering, and I'd like to hear your view on this thing, that what you were just saying about, asking for, like, acknowledging what was done and has been done, and being ready to listen to all of that while the destruction is still ongoing, seems to be like the wrong order of steps. So what is to be done?
No, it's the same thing as me talking with my Palestinian friends. I'm not going to wait until the war is over before I acknowledge to my Palestinian friends that I am from Israel. And the government in Israel, and 75%, I think, of the population, if not more, are supporting this horrendous destruction that is going on there. Am I going to wait until that's over before I talk with my Palestinian friends? No. There are studies that have been done about what makes it possible for abused children to become functional adults. Never mind what functional adults means and whether we like those measures or not, but they measure some capacity to function in life and not be completely captive to the abuse that happened. And one of the key factors that comes out in those studies, I haven't read the studies, but I've read about them, is having someone you can talk with, some adult who says, no, what is happening to you isn't normal. What is happening to you is tragic and problematic, and I see your suffering. I don't
without
see any.
the capacity of that adult to change anything, even without the capacity of that
Exactly.
adult to change anything about the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So to whatever extent I know to do that, I do it whenever, literally, whenever the spirit moves me, whenever I get the intuition to connect and speak or touch or whatever, I do it. It's not very often. It comes and then I do it. I've had, I can't count, but somewhere between 3 and 10 times, something that felt like a conversation with Gaia. And I listened to it and I trust it and I receive something from it that keeps me going. And based on those conversations, I would say Gaia needs every last one of us to have any sense of willingness to keep going. Just imagine yourself being Gaia in all the assault. You need all the support in the world to have any modicum of hope that would feed you in doing things. Thank you. All right, Lisa.
Thank you.
I'm confronting obstacles without and limitations within. And so a few things that I see as somehow related, and I'm hoping maybe you could help me make sense of them or think about them in a new way. The first is that, as you listed the obstacles to deaccumulation, I looked up this story about Mackenzie Scott, who is part of the Amazon fortune. And in this article in Time magazine, she's committed to giving away money until the safe is empty. But she was actually richer at the end of the year than before she handed out her $6 billion. So this is a person who's actually trying to give money away and seemingly can only keep accumulating it. It's like,
Why is she giving away only $6 billion and not 50 or 100? I don't actually understand.
My sense is it's a structural limitation. It seems, but it's like, yeah, this question is, well, she's got so much money, like she could create she could in theory use some of those resources to expand her capacity to give away even more money. Yeah, I like thinking about it that way, because I was like, gosh, she can't even give it
there's
away.
so many questions. Is she trying to hold on to control about what will happen with the money?
No, the piece is that she selects she selects the organizations that she gives the money to, but she gives it with no strings. She just gives them money.
Mm-hmm.
But she has to, but I think what she's doing, this is the piece of the control. She's wanting to do the research so that she has, I think, trust that they're effective, that she likes, that she's in alignment with their mission, and that she has a sense that they're effectively, fulfilling their
And
mission.
I understand that. I totally understand. I think it would be beyond capacity to ask anyone not to do this if they don't have an imaginative other pathway. Here is the imaginative pathway that I would take. She would have the money to do, and I don't know how to reach her to give her this idea. The idea is to create a random sample of the world population. Maybe 100 people. Or maybe she just wants it to be within the US, whatever, but a random sample that will be tasked with finding consensus about what she's supposed to do with the money and how much money she's supposed to give out every year. That is a way to access wisdom.
Yeah.
Because random samples that are facilitated to consensus are extraordinarily wise. That has been proven.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. The next piece, and I don't know if it is on purpose, so you'll tell me in terms of this deaccumulation workshop, but you know, I was thinking a lot about Krista and being the only person at the jail. And I was thinking about working at KPFA, which is a radio station dedicated to peace, that was the single most violent workplace I've ever been at. And how I could not find an ally to help transform anything. So I was all alone. And Miki, I'm thinking about our struggles to try to affect some kind of change at OUSD, and how we could not find Oakland Unified School District here in California, and how we could not find a single ally in the central office despite heroic efforts on our part. So this is system and very obviously limited sphere of influence. But like, how to have any hope that movement is possible? Like, when you can't get even a single ally, we walk away, we mourn, we walk away with grief, we go off hoping to find some other system where we could find an ally. I despair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will make it brief because it isn't directly about the accumulation.
Yeah.
I like the framework that Joanna Macy came up with about there being 3 spheres within which we take action. One is what she used to call holding actions. I think she still is, although the people in the network gave it a different name. And that is doing direct action wherever there's possibility to stop the worst things. This doesn't change anything. It delays, it mitigates, but it doesn't change anything. So Standing Rock would be in that category. It's a beautifully nonviolent action that both succeeded and failed, depending how you look at it and from where. That's one type of actions. A second type of action is creating alternatives. And creating alternatives is not working within an existing system to try to change it. It's actually creating a different system.
Yeah.
Creating worker co-op, creating models of governance, creating all kinds of things that are different and outside the system, not within it. And the third is what Krista was talking about, consciousness transformation. And the 3 need to be interrelated, because theoretically all the yoga, meditation in the world are doing consciousness transformation, but it is fundamentally non-systemic. For the most part, the yogis and meditators of the world don't meditate within a systemic awareness of what they're doing. People who create alternatives, and there are many, millions of little alternatives. They don't think of themselves as part of a movement. a global movement that is trying to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
What is interesting is none of these three are creating change within an existing system.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joanna recognizes whether it's aware or implicit, she recognizes that the power to change an existing system does not exist anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That affirms my sense of reality. That helps inform where I would strategically choose to put energy. And it's not on purpose for this call, but that was very, very helpful.
Yes, and I think if you think of deaccumulation, I will tie it to this. Deaccumulation can very effectively combine creating alternatives with consciousness transformation.
Yes.
Imagine, for example, that this Mackenzie, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
that she decided to dedicate some money for NGL to really accelerate our work, to really be able to do, capacity building camps, get land, do the research that we need to do to find out how we actually get land out of the market, all of these things. If she actually gave us the money to do that, that would support consciousness transformation on her end, because it moves it from the land of large NGOs with a lot of impact.
Yeah.
And the more you read about philanthropy, the more you discover that philanthropy is an essential component of the neoliberal machine.
Right.
So that's what I have to say. It's really fascinating to me how many people are actually trying the one thing that clearly doesn't work, which is to try to go into an existing system and change it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we did. I mean,
Yes. It's very alluring. It looks like, oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no. Thank you. Okay. Can I keep going with this? Because I went from the macro, I'm getting more and more micro.
Totally.
All right.
Can I ask for one moment? Miki, I lost connection, so I'm no longer host or co-host. Can you
Yes, I'm going to make you host, and then you can make me co-host again.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
And I forgot to put people in small groups at the beginning as I intended to. So
I had been doing that, but I lost my connection, so I'm gonna go back and try to do it
spaced out on it because the questions came and I forgot that crucial step of
working on it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that when we're done with your questions, if there's still meaningful chunk of time to still do that, and then maybe have a few more questions. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sad about this, and I'm also okay because it seems to be flowing. Anyway, yeah. Go, Lisa.
Okay. So my dad is 87 years old, and when he dies, the house he lives in, the land he lives on, will probably be sold and for like $10 million, and I'm the sole heir to that money. If my father
Pause, because you just broke a taboo. Are you aware of that? That you broke a taboo?
That I said the land that he lives on?
No, you said the amount of money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's not a taboo to me. I think it's
it's
the
not
idea that
to
people
you.
don't say money, it freaks me the fuck out. I can't handle it.
It's not a taboo of yours. It's a social taboo. And I want the reverberations of that and the exhilaration of truth and freedom that doing it brings to be felt and not skipped over. So I just want to take a breath on that. Lisa just did this thing that people, especially in the US, just don't do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I think I want to be clear. This is the thing that comes the easiest to me. So it wasn't any great stretch. I was like, the other
I'm
is
not
like
talking-
drives me bonkers.
It doesn't matter. It's the impact on others that
Okay.
I was
Right.
caring for.
Cool. Okay. So if my father were to know that I am going down a deaccumulation path, he would freak completely out. And like, I mean, his living trust would change immediately. So like to be in integrity, like what do I make of this? Like, I mean, so my gut is like, I'm just not telling him anything. I mean, I don't tell him anything anyway. So, you know, of substance anyway. So like, just keep it to myself. Is there any way you can help me think of this and have me actually feel like I'm being in integrity about this? Because
Yes.
I'm not feeling that way right now.
Yes. Yes. And I'm getting this from having talked with this person whose father wants to only give money to personally and seeing this person's creativity. I would say at some point, interview your dad about what is important to him in terms of the resources that he has access to and that will pass on to you. Are there any specific values or principles that particularly matter to him in terms of how you will relate to that money? And bring your strong skills around integration and creativity and imagination that I have known over the last 20 years that we've known each other. Bring them to bear. Find, non-controversial essences, bring in a little bit of convergent facilitation, where you can say you and your dad have landed on what's important in relation to this money. And then you make your decisions freely in relationship to those values and principles. That's a way to care for his integrity, for his dignity, without telling him anything.
Right. And without submitting or rebelling on my part. Yeah. I like that a lot. I like that. Okay, good. Now to me.
Yes.
So.
Yes, because deaccumulation doesn't start when you get $10 million or however much it's going to be. It starts today.
Right.
If you're going to do it. Small,
Exactly.
tiny, microscopic scale.
Right, exactly. So my action plan for this is for starters need to just track. I want to track where my money's going because I don't even know that. Like that's a starting place. I want to create a system, put a system in place. This also involves me needing to involve my husband in this, which is,
False. I'm, nodding to Krista. Inner transformation. Listen to my words. See how they impact you. This is not your money. It's not mine either. And let's just name what is money. And the way my understanding of money is a unit of claim on the world's resources. That is what it is. You can claim some portion of the world's resources relative to how much money you have access to. And what is the ownership? Ownership is a claim to a resource that is backed up by state violence. That really is the description of ownership. Anything else that you try to explain about ownership will fall apart conceptually. So I am really wanting to clean my thinking, to remove ownership, mine, all of that. So you have access to resources. And the question is, how are you going to steward those resources? And once you make that shift in how you think about it, easier to start thinking differently.
Yes. So right now I want to track the way that these units of claim on the world's resources that I am making choices and decisions about. I want to understand what choices and decisions I'm actually making because I'm not aware of them. And for that, I need to have my husband, I want him as an ally and collaborator in that, which is that'll be its own small feat and miracle, but onward. What I've already discovered internally about myself is that I have a story, internal narrative time. I have a story that I deserve all. I'm going to now authentically just tell you, leaving unit of language terminology aside, it should be free so I can just be in flow.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, so I deserve this money as a consolation prize, and I deserve this money from my dad as a consolation prize for having to have had him as my father.
Yeah.
Okay. And
pause,
I have
pause.
Yes.
This is intense, Lisa. It's very intense. It gives us information about your suffering. I want that to be metabolized here collectively. It's not small. There's a whole bit about deserve thinking that I want to say in a moment, but first let's grasp.
Yes, the reason I wanted to keep going is because it's not the total. I want to be seen for the totality of my pain. And so to just pause here is a false pause because I've got this other chunk. So that's why I kept going.
For it.
It's not because I'm denying my pain, let me tell you, but I want you to know the depth of it. So okay, right? So, okay. So if that's not enough, the consolation prize like Dayenu, but I have this profound distrust and stories about people's incompetence and not trusting that if I release this money, that anyone is going to do anything that is going to be effective, and it's going to be utterly useless. And so then this consolation prize that I'm like clinging on to, like, oh, well, at least I got this for having to deal with him. And now I'm going to release it into the world to be used by people that are idiots. There, now we have the totality, and now I'm happy to pause and sit with the whole thing.
I just adore you, Lisa. You know that, but thank you. And I am loving that you're bringing this because it gives us one small example. And there's probably a finite set of issues that could exist for people. I used to be in a writing group with Maxine Kingston as the teacher, who some of you may have heard of. She's a novelist in the US. And in one of the meetings, she said, I don't remember the number she said, there are about 14 plots. All the novels that have ever been written, some variation of the 14 plots. Whether it was 14, 15, 11, it doesn't really matter. So this is very resonant, and it's a particular phenomenon that exists. The deserving. It's like there's a larger deserving phenomenon of which there are many branches, and there's a larger control phenomenon and mistrust phenomenon of which there are many branches. And you are within both, which is not surprising. They come up when people have access to resources. So a tiny bit about deserved thinking, which is, I believe, I'm not a historian and I don't even know if that could ever be traced or studied. I believe that the deserved thinking arose after accumulation and the patriarchal turn that created accumulation. And it arose as a way to explain to people who were used to having resources go to needs and collaborative shared distribution, explaining to them why suddenly some people have so much more than they need, other people are toiling for that excess, and they don't have enough. If you have a theory of deserve that explains why this is happening, then people are more likely to, on one side, assuage their guilt, and on the other side, assuage their rage. Why am I poor? I deserve it. Why am I rich? I deserve it. And I have heard 3 versions of deserve theory. And I believe that whoever lives in one of them would think that the other 2 are idiotic. One is karma, one is God's will, and one is merit. We live in the merit story. From within the merit story, God's will and karma look absolutely idiotic. Primitive, superstitious, whatever the word applies to them. If you were in the karma story, you would think that the idea of merit just in this lifetime is ridiculous. If you are in the God's will story, you think that people are deluding themselves that they got the money because of merit. It's actually, that's what God wills. So I do not want to in any way privilege the merit theory over the other theories. All of them are ridiculous. People have more money because they extract resources from others. Period. Accumulation is theft. Invariably. And if you are not the one who accumulated, if it's some ancestors, then they did the theft, and you are just an accomplice to the theft because you don't give it back. And when I call it theft, I'm actually being descriptive, not moralizing.
Mm-hmm.
Because theft cannot exist outside of a system of private property and accumulation. It has no meaning. In a system in which people share resources based on needs, there's no theft. So that is the deserved thing. And yours is some variant of merit. Your merit, you've earned this, you deserve it based on the merit of your suffering. You suffered at the hands of this person, and therefore, ... I think I want to pause to see Lunch Z. I don't know what your name actually is. Do you have a question related to this?
No, it's just something to say after about, yeah.
Okay, if it's after, then it's after. Noor, do you have a question related within the thread?
Yeah, I do. I'm just wondering, because I heard you say these stories are ridiculous, and I'm struggling with the karma one because I guess there's a part of me that has believed that one that's kind of like, and I know it's a passive story that's like, oh well.
I'm not saying that I think it's ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm saying that the modern scientific materialism worldview thinks of karma as ridiculous. I'm not saying I am.
Okay. But I guess my thought is, what do you think of this belief? Like some people, because I guess it's based on merit too, that there's a belief in past lives and some people come in with more quote unquote wealth because maybe they good positive karma.
I only think of it as a justification theory, and I hold it with a lot of skepticism, no more and no less than any of the others. I hold the entire deserve thing as a story made up to justify horrific disparities in access to resources.
And to assuage, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you, Miki.
So I don't think any one of them is more or less relevant. I'm just saying each of them looks at the others as ridiculous.
Okay, I follow you, thanks.
Mhm. Okay, so the second part is the control part. Any desire to control comes from lack of trust in life. Lack of trust in life is the deepest source of difficulty with surrendering to flow. If I surrender to flow, things will fall apart. That's the story. And I don't have, like any prescription about how you grow trust in life. I only have a general sense that, like everything else, taking steps beyond your comfort zone and not all the way to your red zone grows the capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. That's enough. That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yes, for me too. I think not only for us, but I don't know. Okay, Lunch Z, you wanted to say something.
Hi. Yeah, I just say at lunches, but I was wondering
lunches.
if
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, I have like kind of an idea of a system of resource distribution. Should I share it here, or is that not the place?
I don't know what you mean by an idea for a system of resource distribution. I don't actually know what you mean. Like, you want to share a whole model of how...
it was in a sense, it's just the theory of rewarding generosity by giving more to people who give more.
Okay,
And
I think that is outside the scope of what this session is about.
Okay.
Thank you. Anna.
I'm not sure if I just keep thinking like I guess beyond my capacity, but I think in the reality of the world that we live in and brokenness and loss of trust in life, like there's something in me that is drawn to this like idealistic vision, and obviously it's like it's shared with a lot of us, but it also just feels so far from possible because of how broken things really are. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to be grounded in it without just kind of holding on to this dream that feels unattainable. Like idealistic of like harmony and all of these things, but
so here is my thought. Vision is necessary food for the work.
Mm-hmm.
So for as long as you hold your vision as unattainable, that's foolish, blah, 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 it's not going to give you food. What I would propose that you do instead is make your vision as specific and detailed as possible. Actually see, what can you see? I was holding vision for decades. And then finally decided to give it form. And the form that I gave it was 12 fictional stories that take place in that future world. So it's very concrete, detailed, tangible, visceral. There are people living there. They're having interactions. They're doing things. There are buses there. The garbage is picked up. It was very daily life level of detail. And these stories are part of one of my books. So you can read them. So I advise you not to wait as long as I waited. I waited, I think, like 20 years between when the vision was stirring in me and I had this thought like, oh, I can see how it all could work. Between having those thoughts and actually putting in writing how these things would work. 20 years, don't wait. Just put it down. Write stories, write a picture, make a movie, whatever is yours to do. Because once you have the vision detailed, it will give you energy.
Awesome, thank you. And what is that book?
What is that
book with? Yeah, with your stories.
It's called Reweaving Our Human Fabric. It has a bunch of things in it. The stories are only part of it. And if you, I think Muddy is going to put the link in the chat. And when you go to that link, you will find 3 of those stories are there that you can just read. And you will see what I mean.
Okay.
And however detailed your vision is, there's a gap, obviously, between the vision and the present reality. You can have a life in which all you do is bridging that gap. That's my life. 24/7. All I do is bridging that gap. Internally and externally, within capacity.
Thank you.
And if that's what you want to do with your life, come play with us. I'm not alone doing it. There are a bunch of us. All right. I think I'm going to go now to closing and not take new questions. I would like to hear from a few people. What's staying with you from being here? I particularly want to hear from people who haven't participated, though I'm also happy to hear from people who have. What are you taking with you from having been here? What's going to be different? What's one little step that you can take in the direction of the accumulation as a result of being here? No, no.
I thought you said no, nor. I'm gonna take 28 shirts instead of 37. I'm just joking. What I wanted to say is actually, I was so moved by what you shared about your communication with with life in terms of acknowledging impacts on behalf of humanity, willingness to listen. I mean, I was just crying when you said that. I never thought to communicate with life in that way. So I want to practice being a much better listener to life and taking this impact sharing into more than human realm, more than, and I was very, very moved by that, which I guess is not directly related to the topic, but I wanted to share that with you.
I'm actually thinking it's not an accident that it came up here so strongly.
Yeah.
I think it is related, and it's a link that I had not seen before. I think the more we restore that connection with life, the easier it will be to deaccumulate, because it will connecting with life in that way restores trust.
I see that. I'm so glad you shared it. It was extremely moving to me.
Thank you. What else? What are you taking with you? Even a small thing. It is really food for me to hear. I put out a lot of energy in these kinds of events, and I want the energy to come. Laura.
Hey, I put in the chat, and I know you don't read the chat, so I'm reading it to you. Increase resilience as faith in the power of community, and hope around personal pathways and finding our own deserved narratives, with thanks to Lisa.
Thank you. Anna.
I would say focusing on what is within capacity, and accepting your place, not in comparison to the greater scheme. It's very grounding and reassuring, and just like doubling down on that enoughness piece of, even if you're not making strides towards whatever direction where you are, and figuring out those small pieces just outside of your comfort zone and just before the red zone of like increasing capacity, accepting what it is at the time and just continuing to move forward, even if it doesn't feel substantial, but knowing that it is.
Thank you. I would like to propose a tiny amendment. You said accepting your place, and I would invite you to say accepting my place. To take full
accepting my place.
Yeah, it feels different, doesn't it?
It does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patwa.
Yes, I'm taking away the framework of vision mobilization framework, and having a vision articulated and living it, and it coming a source of energy has like de-accumulation come like go hand in hand. Then it's and then because I'm constantly looking at what you said.
Matwa, it's the end, and I want to keep it brief, even though I love to hear from people. Thank you. Thanks. Celia.
I'll try to keep this short. I don't have a concrete action at this moment, more than an internal action, which is this visualization that instead of rising up, it's rising out. I want this root system that can hold me on the earth, because I'm part of this, or I've forgotten I am. So reconnecting with my roots to feel safe. I want to feel safer to do this. Yeah.
I don't believe in striving for safety. I think safety isn't actually part of life. I think safety is a human illusion. Just chew on this for a while. Helen.
I'm feeling moved by the definitions of money and ownership, and the question of, if you have access to resources, how are you wanting to steward them? And I think I'm wanting to copy those sentences and have them present, and meditate on them and see what happens.
Great, thank you. All right, I think that's it. I am very grateful to everyone for being here. I hope you will go check out the wildness of what we're doing within NGL, and maybe some of you will choose to join us, and some of you I know are already playing with us on the margins or right at the center. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.